as far as renting stuff. Sometimes it might be more beneficial to buy it. I know in some of the construction companies that I had worked for, we rented a couple things that maybe we were out. We had a lot of backhoes and whatnot that we had out on the job site. We might need one, so we might have rented one from somebody just for the day or whatever, just to get by, or if one was broke down. So it says in here, your business, it may be more economical to rent than buy certain equipment or furniture. Generally, the total cost of renting items is determined by the length of time in which you need to rent them. Some states charge a usage tax on items that are rented, and here is your formula for this. Total rental costs is going to be equal to the rental charge multiplied by the time and plus the usage tax. Okay. Now we're talking about big machinery, but one of the shows that I watch, swear. One of the things that I watch on TV or whatever, when you watch home shows, when they do all these, when they flip houses and whatnot, one of the things that I've watched, they actually use a staging company, which means they bring in their own furniture, they make it look nice, sell the house with the furniture in it, then once that happens, then that staging company comes back and takes their stuff. That costs money. A lot of the times it's like $2,000, $3,000 that they have to pay for these people to bring in furniture. So it looks nice to sell the house, but once they sell the house, then they pay them off and away they go. But that's just another example. For number 1, it says the rental charge is 10% of $640. Okay, so we got 10% of $640. What's of mean in math? Times. So what is 0.1 times 640? 64. Okay? That's the rental charge per whatever it is, per month. Okay? Now, the tax on this stuff. The tax rate's at 6%. Defining the usage tax, what you do is you take that $64 a month, you multiply it by how many months you're going to use it, and then you multiply it by the percent, which is 6% in this case. So what's 64 times 3 times 0.06? How much? Are you sure? You just seem kind of light, was all, Tristan. Did you take 64 times 3? Yeah. And then times by 0.06? Okay. All right. Then, to get your total cost, you take your rental charge, which is $64. You times it by how many months you're going to do it for. And then you add to it the usage tax. So what is 64 times 3? A little bit more than that. 192. 192? So 192 plus $11.52 is how much money? $203.52. So whatever that happens to be. Now, this is dealing with the percentage-based stuff. A lot of this stuff, because I've checked into this just so that you guys know, as far as doing my own concrete work. Because for me, personally, I got a quote last year that was going to be $15,000 to do my driveway. Because my driveway is almost 130 feet long. It's a long driveway. To redo concrete, it's per yard. And I found out personally, I called the concrete company myself and said, how much is it? and this is my length, and this is my width, and this is how much I'm going to need. And it was about $3,000 is all for the concrete. Actually, it was less than that. It was about $2,000. So it was only $2,000 for the concrete. So the other $13,000 came in removal and whatever else for that company to come in and do it. Now that's why I was looking at me personally doing it myself, knowing that I've done it before, okay, and that I could do it. It's just I would need to rent quite a few things. Right. So that's where my cost would be. I would probably be able to do it for about $5,000 because I'd need some lumber to frame everything off. I'd need to get rebar. I'd need to get some other things. I'd need to have some help because there's no way I'm going to be able to pour that long and that big of an area all by myself. So anyway, number 2, rental charge is 8% of, so 8%. Of $1,470. So what's 0.08 multiplied by 1,470? $117.60. Thank you. Now to figure out the tax rate, we got that $117.60 multiplied by 5 months, because you're 5 months on the job, and multiplied by 0.055. Why was it 0.055? Because it was 5.5%. So what do I get there? Jacob, what'd you get? $32.34. Now to figure out the final bill, I'm going to take $117.60. I'm going to multiply it by 5. And then I'm going to add the $32.34 from the number that Jacob told me. So $117.60 times 5 is what? $117.60 times 5. What do I get?
$588.
Yeah, $588. Now, what's $588 plus $32.34?
$620.34.
Woohoo! $620.34. That's number 2. Okay. The rest of the problems are all like this. They're all doing the same type of thing. The only difference is that they actually put some names and words behind what's going on. So if you look at number 6, it says a backhoe rented for 3 weeks. It says the rental charge is $14.75 per week. Usage tax is 5%. What's the total rental cost? Okay, so for that particular thing, we're not dealing with it in months. We're renting it for the weeks. Maybe we had to dig out a couple basements, or we had to trench something. So we used a backhoe instead of doing it a different way. All right. So as far as the rental charge, first of all, it gave us was $14.75. You're doing it for 3 weeks. And the tax rate is 5%. Now, just so that you know when you rent things, I don't know that the 5 or 7.5% that you normally get taxed on goods, I don't think that that is the same rate when you rent. I think that they are able to bypass some of that stuff because of the rental agreements. But What is 1475 times 3?
73.9.
So you got 73 point what?
Wait for the whole thing?
No. This. 1475 times 3 times 0.05 was what? You didn't write it down?
For the whole thing.
221.25.
Yeah.
And that's for the usage tax. That is not the total rental. That's just for the tax part of it. Then, to figure out the total rental, I need to know what 1475 is times 3. And then once we know that, we're going to add to it the 221.25. So what's 4425 plus 221.25? So for us to rent a backhoe for 3 weeks is going to cost us $4,600 roughly, which is not out of the ordinary. That happens a lot. But if you're going to redo a basement and whatnot, basements cost $15,000 or whatever, usually, or more. Sometimes basements are a lot more than that. Just to redo a basement sometimes is from what I was quoted after the flood, close to $50,000 just to jack up my house and redo the whole thing. No, thank you. So, that's how much it would cost for number 6. What do you think? You guys going to be okay? Maybe. We'll see. Okay. So on page 615. Let's just go 1 through 10. I'll cut one out since it's Monday.